Commanders for real, we don't know how to act. Yeah, I'm pointing out facts. If I point a finger, that's point of attack. Good point, who's next? Flag on the plate, now I'm causing them death. We bet on ourselves, so what you expect? A die-hard fan, never live with regret. Yes, sir. Go to my neck, go to my neck. Burgundy flex. Who wants the smoke? We bringing it home. Be my guest. Look how we step. Who we got next? Step on the right, step on the left. Who do we rep? Commanders. Where's my soldiers? Right side. Commanders. Where's my soldiers? Left side. Commanders. Where's my soldiers? Watch the middle. Commanders. Where's my soldiers? High off the way that this sound, they turn up as soon as they feet hit the ground. I am not playing around. I hit them, I bet that they feeling me now.
Welcome, one and all across the nation and around the world. I welcome you all to episode 22 of the Commanders Gridiron Report. I am your host, Drew Willingham, and we are back for that episode 22 edition. It's been like, 3 months since we've been on the air together? Me, you, maybe not. This might be your first time here. But when it comes to this show, had 21 episodes prior to now. We covered all of last season, the 2023 season. And now as we prepare for 2024, we are back here today on July 16th. And I'm glad to be here with you. For those of you watching on Sertoba Media, Team MBS Media, or on A7BN Sports, thank you very much for tuning in. And whichever platform you're watching this on, please like, share, and subscribe to that network in order to help us grow out here. Because without that help, can't really get a little bit of help when it comes to the algorithm play of whatever platform we're on. So with that being said, if you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitch right now, thank you very much for tuning in. And as you see, for those of you who've been watching this for a while and are used to the guy with the hair right there, a lot has changed in the past 90 days. Got a belt now, the championship belt right there, but back to the corporate look. So we are here today talk Commanders, what's happened in the past 3 months. You know, when we were last here, we talked about the coaching changes, the front office moves, the moves within free agency, the draft. And at least today, I went and analyzed all my picks last time for the draft. But this time I'm going to give a little bit more of an in-depth analysis as far as, like, I'd say my top 10 to 12 moves within free agency and the draft. We're going to talk a little bit of training camp news. Got some updates for you as well when it comes to when this show will be back weekly. Because if you remember, if you watched this last season, I had this show once a week. This time, each and every week, we had a Commanders update with about an hour show. Today probably won't be about an hour long because there's only but so much Commanders news that's happened in the past 3 months, which is why I took a break from this show. But don't fret. Got some news for you and some entertainment as we are here with you today. Now, when it comes to that, when it comes to our sponsorship for this program, we got to give a shout out to
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Absolutely. Shout out to Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be mother-fathering awesome. Got some comments in the chat already. Two of my homies are here. Ike doesn't give a fuck is here, along with Ryan McCarthy saying Corporate Drew is back with Commie Talk. Yes, and for the first time in this 22 episodes now, the Corporate Look is here. So shout out to you for tuning in as we've got some Commie Talk today here on the Commanders Gridiron Report. And with that being said, we're going to take this into our first segment, and that is the First and 10.
They are the Washington Commanders. New name, new marks, new uniform.
Soldiers, are we ready for Operation Burgundy?
Kind of halfway through the First and 10 already with everything I said, but hey, let's acknowledge it at least. Introduction to the special one-off July edition of CGR, a.k.a. Commanders Gridiron Report. Yes, we are here for a one-off edition. This is the first time in 3 months this show's been on the air, and it'll probably be the last time until next month. Say about 3 to 4 weeks, and I'll give you the announcement date here at the end of the episode. But you know, there's no point in being on the air every single week because there's only but so much we can talk about when it comes to the Commanders right now. There's not been much news since the draft, and there was one set of news, at least when it came to the kicker. We'll get to that in a little bit. But besides that, it's been kind of quiet. And there's no reason to have it every single week. And there's other things that I've had. There's another show that I wanted to bring back in that time frame, which was the one that got this whole thing started for me, the In or Out Sports Debate. Just had episode 115 last night. It was one great episode. Definitely exceeded my expectations and my guests' expectations at that point. So, oh, wow. So I don't know if you guys heard me at all during this entire time or not. Let me know in the comments if you did, because I didn't even realize that the mic was off because it blended in with the background. But with that being said, if you didn't hear anything for the past 7 minutes, welcome to the Commanders Gridiron Report, episode 22. We are in the house today to discuss Commanders Gridiron action. And now, as we know that we're not muted anymore, let me know in the comments if you heard anything I was saying prior to when I just tapped that mic. That's shenanigery for you to start the episode out. Now that we're here, live in action today, in case you didn't hear a word I just said, well, let me see you guys leaving some comments. Okay, Dante said he heard, but it was without the mic. Oh, he was even loud and clear, too. Well, shout out to HP Victus and their great technology here for giving the opportunity to hear me loud and clear. But should hear me a little bit better now that we got the mic running. Anyway, when it comes to that action right here and right now that we've gotten all that cleared up, when it comes to the Commanders, they absolutely sucked last year, okay? Let's just get that out of the way. Let's be 100% real. They were absolutely terrible last year. And I was calling it all year long. I'm going to tell you straight up, even as a fan of the team since yay big, since birth, in baby clothes, wearing the formerly known as the REDSKINS. If you suck, I'm going to tell you, okay? But it's only in a motivational way to help you improve from where you once were. Now that we are here for episode 22, I'm hoping that this upcoming year they don't suck as bad, because the moves they made this offseason were pretty respectable. You made a good pick in the draft with your quarterback. You definitely helped out some holes on defense that you needed to cover as well. But the big problems that you had last year that affected your quarterback play, no matter who you would have had back there, is you had a mediocre offensive line, and that's probably the nicest way I could put it, because they were absolutely trash last year, which is why Sam Howell got sacked so many times. You could have been a more mobile quarterback. You could have had a better quarterback in there that was well-rounded all the way. But this quarterback still would have had just as many sacks, in my opinion. So regardless if it was Sam Howell or if it was anybody else back there, I feel like they would have all struggled. So let's just put that to bed if anybody wants to argue with that. Right here and now, they made upgrades not only within their defense, not only within their offensive line, not only with their quarterback, but they made upgrades in the coaching staff as well. And we covered that in the last episode when we were here talking about the head coaching moves, the assistant moves, bringing in Cliff Kingsbury, who should be a quarterback guru for Jaden Daniels with his reputation. Although it didn't quite work out with Kyler Murray, but I digress. I'm going to give him a second chance here and be positive about this. And I think all of you should too, because if you're a fan of this team and you've been around for at least a decade, following this team, you've had a lot of heartache. And if you've been a fan for 20 to 30 plus years like myself, you obviously have experienced a lot of heartache. The last time this team won the Super Bowl, I was 5 years old. I remember being at the Super Bowl party. I don't really remember the game live. I've seen it on NFL films, and it's brought back the memories of when I was at that Super Bowl party. But when I was 5, those memories just aren't sticking to me today. So that just goes to show how long ago that was. That was 32 years ago. So thinking back on it, that's a really long time. Right here and now, I do have to say, I know they're not going to the Super Bowl this year, and more than likely not next year. It's going to be a while. However, if this team, if the moves they made this offseason, and especially with Adam Peters' tenure in his portfolio that he's built in this league over the course of years, I think that in the next 5 to 7 years, they could surprise you. And it would be nice if by the time I'm in my mid-40s, they could have another Super Bowl championship to where I'm not too old to enjoy it, but at the same time, I'm not too old to forget it either. So if you know what I'm saying. But right here and now, when it comes to CGR, glad to be here with you today. Those of you just tuning in on Team MBS Media, as well as on Sertoba Media and on A7BN Sports. Thank you all for tuning in today. And as well, subscribe now and never miss out on new content. Now, Dante cleared it up, said he heard me, as well as saying, what's up, guys? Well, from an Eagles fan to a Commanders fan, thank you for tuning in and taking your time to hear me out today. You want to scout out the competition. I hear you. I see what you're doing. But with that being said, you want to get some scouting action in. We got to take this into the Burgundy Flex review. Give a little bit of a review of some of the offseason moves that we talked about last time, but kind of a recap of what we missed in the past 3 months.
Go to my neck, Burgundy Flex. Who wants the smoke? We bringing it home. Be like that.
And here with the Burgundy Flex review, let's look at some of the offseason moves from beyond the previous April episode to present and the latest in team headlines. Now, this team made some moves this year. They really did during the offseason, and one of them was at kicker. But unfortunately, the kicker was a POS in real life, made some mistakes, and it came back to haunt him as he got released during the time from our last episode to now. So in that time frame, we got to look beyond before that. On May 7th, they released linebacker Brandon Boyer-Randall and cornerback D'Angelo Mandel, as well as defensive end Joshua Pryor. They didn't really make a huge impact on the team last year in a negative or positive light, so it was kind of a cap-saving move with them. On May 14th, they released quarterback Jake Fromm, which I definitely saw that coming because, again, along the lines of the other people that we just talked about, very similar as far as that stature. The big news came on June 2nd. After some reports that had surfaced based on some of the behavior that I'm not going to dig too deep in because he's no longer with the team, they released kicker Brandon McManus. If you remember McManus, he spent time in Denver as well as in Jacksonville, and now he came over to Washington this offseason, had some hype. And before we knew of the negative stuff that was following him in the background, I gave him a lot of hype the last time we were here on this show. I was talking very highly of him. I didn't know he was a piece of crap and was going to get released because he's a piece of crap and did some bad things out here in these streets. You do some things like Brandon McManus did, you deserve to be punished. Why? Because you suck as a person. If you suck as a person, you don't deserve opportunities to play in all of professional sports. Why? Because you need to treat people with respect, especially those of the opposite sex. So you need to do a better job at being a better person out here in these streets. And out of everybody who got released, traded, fired, whatever you want to say, I am happy that you were part of that as well. So those of you who are just now tuning in, thank you for tuning in between Sartoba Media, Team MBS Media, and A7BN Sports. Shout out to all of you out here in these streams. Sick Diggie's in the house says, what's good, everybody? Well, what's good there, my man Sick? Glad to have all of you here. Keeps me pumped up, ready to rock and roll with some Commanders Gridiron action. Let me know in the comments what you think about this background, too. I took a few minutes to put it together. That guy with the hair is not here anymore. Corporate Willie's in the house. Now, back to Commanders Gridiron action. Brandon McManus, total piece of crap. You deserve to be a free agent right now. I'm glad we don't have that baggage going into next year because you totally aren't worth it, sir, when it comes to that. Now, back to this. The other moves that were made this offseason were following that. 2 days later, they signed kicker Ramiz Ahmed. Doesn't really have that big of a portfolio as much as Brandon McManus did professionally within the game of the National Football League, but it's a signing. And I don't think it's the signing that they're going to stick with for the entirety of the season. You got to watch during preseason. There's going to be a kicker who's a veteran who gets cut because they want to do a cap-saving move. It happens every single year, and this veteran kicker is going to wind up on the Commanders. Now, will he be successful? I can't tell you that because I don't know who exactly that is. You know what would be funny, even though he kind of got the yips as a kicker, if they brought in Rodrigo Blankenship, the former kicker from the Colts, who kind of left on bad terms. Well, not really like McManus did, but bad terms as far as he had the yips. Like, he was a really good kicker his rookie year. His second year, I believe, he had a hip injury, and it kind of affected him going forward. He bounced around in a couple of teams, some practice squads after that. It's the guy with the big glasses that used to play with the goggle glasses that was the kicker for the Colts. I would like to see him get a second chance. Another person, even though I don't think he can hack it anymore, but it would be nice if he could have one more swan song, is they decided to bring in Adam Vinatieri, who didn't ever officially retire. 50-year-old kicker, come on down to Washington. Let's see if you got some George Blanda in you as far as old man kicking. That would be a move I would like to see them make this offseason, if you know what I'm saying. So, Brandon McManus, piece of crap. Ramiz Ahmed, you're up. Let's see what you can do as far as a kicker out here in these streets. Now, we're talking about the review this offseason. Let's look at what would be my favorite moves between the draft and free agency that I feel like are going to make the biggest impact on this team. This team made a lot of moves, like I'd say about 24 moves between trades, the Sam Howell trade, signing, and the draft this year. So, of course, everyone's favorite pick is going to be the quarterback right here, and that's Jaden Daniels. Round 1, pick 2 overall right here. He is definitely, if he stays healthy, is going to make an impact on this team for years to come. I mean, look at that kid right there at LSU. He was definitely making an impact in his college playing days. Now, I'm not going to spend all this time talking about just a quarterback move because there are several moves, like I said. It's about 10 to 12 moves that I can get hype about. And with that being said, I got to look at Anthony Pittman, the linebacker who came from the Detroit Lions, signed with the team during the offseason as well. Super Bowl champion guard Nick Algoretti is definitely one of my favorite moves this offseason as well, because when it comes to beefing up that O-line, that's what they've needed help with for many years. So they can establish a great running game, which will help with the passing game and help the overall flow of the offensive dynamic for games to come and hopefully for years to come. Beyond Nick Algoretti, I got to look at Dorrance Armstrong, defensive end who came over from the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, when you look at the head coaching move they made this offseason with Dan Quinn, former defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys, you automatically knew that some free agents that were formerly with that team and had worked under him, whether it was there or possibly in Atlanta, were going to come to Washington. I mean, anybody who knew a little bit beyond the scenes with that, especially when it comes to relationships established over the years, you knew that was going to happen at some point. I did too, and that's why we're seeing it right now with Dorrance Armstrong, the defensive end, signing with the Commanders this offseason. Another one of my favorite moves, a guy I said last episode, the way his name is spelled, I'm going to call him Tyler Badass. The center from the Dallas Cowboys comes on over to help this offensive line that has absolutely sucked for many years establish itself and become better out here in these streets. Beyond Tyler Badass, I got to look at Dante Fowler Jr., the defensive end who was also with the Dallas Cowboys, comes on over to help out at a position that they lost a lot of talent at last year. When you look at the fact that they traded Montez Sweat and Chase Young last year, those were two first-round picks they had gotten over the past previous seasons that hadn't been there that long, that, in my opinion, you didn't get enough value in return for Chase Young. I'd say Montez Sweat's trade to Chicago was fair, and it's a cap-saving move because now you have cheaper talent who play at a high level, and you made some moves in the draft as well. So I think overall for the future, it was a good move, but I'm still a little disappointed in the fact that they got a 3rd-round pick out of Chase Young, because a 2nd-round pick for Montez Sweat, respectable, but I feel like they could have gotten a 1st or 2nd-round pick for Chase Young, but they waited too long to deal him, and the 49ers definitely played the leverage they had. They were very smart, and good on them for getting him for a 3rd-round pick. Bad on the Commanders for letting Chase Young go last year on just a 3rd-round pick. After Dante Fowler Jr., we have to look at my next favorite signing. We have to go to Bobby Wagner, the linebacker who came over from the Seattle Seahawks, formerly with the Rams as well. You got to look at his tenure in the NFL. He has definitely made an impact wherever he's been. His leadership will definitely be a plus for this Commanders team. The next favorite signing I'd have to say would be Austin Eckler, the running back who comes from the LA Chargers. If he can remain healthy, and this is a huge question mark, all right, huge question mark. If he can remain healthy, then and only then he's going to make a positive impact to this team, because he hasn't been in the league long enough to really be considered a wily veteran who can rub off on others. In my opinion, I could be wrong. We're all entitled to our opinion, and you let me know if you disagree out here in the comments. But when it comes to Austin Eckler here, he's had some issues with staying healthy. It's definitely helped him with his it's definitely hurt him with his production quality. And I'd have to say that if he doesn't stay healthy, it's going to affect him with his tenure with the Commanders, and this could be possibly his last stop in the NFL, because we already know that running backs have a very, very short shelf life out here with the game of football. My next favorite move would be Clelin Ferrell, who's the defensive end from the 49ers. The Commanders made several moves on defense during free agency, as well as at this particular position right here. They loaded up at defensive end between Dorrance Armstrong and Clelin Ferrell and Anthony Pittman at linebacker, who's a little bit more versatile. They definitely stocked up during this offseason, and as well as on offensive line as well, when they had definitely added Michael Dieter, the center from the Houston Texans, who was a big, big force last year in protection for C.J. Stroud. The fact that you went from Houston with a mobile quarterback there, and you come to Washington with another young quarterback, it's going to be a similar offensive scheme in the dynamic of that. I feel like this was an underrated move that people might have slept on, and we're going to be talking about potentially this move by the end of this season, and you're going to look back on this and say, Drew, you were right. Michael Dieter was a great, great pickup during last offseason. Now, when you look at all that, those are all of my favorites between the draft and signings during free agency. The Sam Howell trade has grown on me. I didn't want them to give up hope on the kid yet, because I felt like if they really believe in this new coaching staff, you could still kept him on to kind of be the bridge quarterback between him and Jaden Daniels. However, from what the hype is, Jaden Daniels is the type of quarterback that can come in and start week 1. So if they play their cards right, and everything works out the way that they're saying it is, I think that might be the right move for the long term, but I was not happy about it at first. You guys saw on this show, episode 20, I was going off about it, but the fact that they were going to let him go. In 21, we were breaking the news on the trade. So right here and now, I'll at least admit, 3 months later, I've accepted that move. And I think for the long term, for his career, as well as for the team's future, everything happens for a reason. And that was definitely a good move there. Let's see what you guys got to say in the comments before we take our first commercial break. Looks like Sick Diggy's chiming in. Don't worry, folks. The night nurses, and that's plural, are on standby and closely monitoring the Drew. They have the protocol in case of emergency. Adam still has it. In fact, Tom Brady owes him for the first 2 Super Bowl rings. Yes, Adam Vinatieri definitely owes him. Tom Brady does owe him for those first 2 Super Bowl rings. You could argue that even the third one, because he was there for the first 3. He was a big impact in there. He might not have had the game-winning field goal in the third one, but he definitely was a big impact in that season leading up to that game. So, yes, he owes Adam Vinatieri for all of his first 3 Super Bowls. And a great offense is nothing without a solid offensive line to protect the quarterback. Absolutely sick, because you've got to have protection. You got to have time to make the decision. If you're constantly hurried, there are quarterbacks that work well under pressure and have proven this to be not always true. But 9 times out of 10, absolutely, you have to have a solid offensive line, because you have to establish the run for play action and for the running game before you can even make moves in the passing game. So everything correlates together, as well as happens for a reason. And if you're just now tuning in, make sure, if you're new to the channel, whether it's Team MBS Media or Sartoba Media or A7BN Sports, make sure you please drop a like, share, and subscribe for that platform, and help out the algorithm so we can get some more views per platform out here in these streams. Thank you all for tuning in. We have a lot more show left to go. As Six says, the same can be said of a defense without a solid defensive line. We're going to go to our first commercial break, but when we come on back, we got a lot more news for you, a lot more shenanigery for you as well. I'll see you here in about 2.5 minutes.
Commanders, where my soldiers, right side. Commanders, where my soldiers, left side.
Hey, Eagles fan. Join my man Cool McCain and a host of others as they break down every single game, every single week in an objective manner, and also from a fan's perspective as well. Remember, this cast feels just like you. Nobody likes you. and you don't care. Fly, Eagles, fly. Eagles Elite Podcast, every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and other podcast outlets.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, look. Hey, stop playing games. Y'all already know. Go ahead and toss him some Willie Bucks. Ain't nobody playing around. Hey, $sign DWillie87. Go ahead and hit him up on the Cash App and go ahead and give him some Willie Bucks. Look at Drew looking stoic, ladies and gentlemen. Stoic on that $10 bill. So go ahead, slide my man over some Willie Bucks, and we good. That's all I'm saying. We good. Some Willie Bucks.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Drew Willingham.
In this case, yeah, you put the blame on Kyle Shanahan for apparently not preparing the team enough for the overtime rules, supposedly.
Cole Johnson.
Peyton was considered the winner, and he was the darling of all darlings for Gerald.
With a special appearance by Tyrone Alizé McDummy.
Ain't nobody calling me. Text. Delete.
Join these two football enthusiasts as they give you Total Football Talk. Live every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central on the Sertoba Media and the Comey Media YouTube channels.
Commanders, where my soldiers, right side. Commanders, where my soldiers, left side.
Welcome back to the Commanders Gridiron Report, episode 22. We are back from the commercial break. We got a few comments that happened during that time, it looks like, as Ike, Sick, and Brian McCarthy are all up in the house still. Appreciate you guys for staying with me during that commercial break. The foundation of a good team always starts on both sides of the line, as Sick Diggy at Ryan McCarthy says. Definitely a very solid point. Someone who definitely knows his football, Ryan McCarthy, covers it on many different facets of professional sports, between the CFL, UFL, and the NFL like myself, so he definitely knows what it's all about when it comes to the foundation of a good team. Ike says Willie Bucks commercial is still fire. Well, thank you, Ike. I appreciate it. And I'll even throw you this. Bet you weren't expecting that. I wasn't even expecting you to drop that dime in the comments right there.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
To those of you who were just tuning in. Shenanigery at its finest. Welcome to the show, as we still have some more comments to get through before we go to our next segment. Ike even says Tam. Yes, the legend of Tam still lives from Total Football Talk.
Yeah.
Facts.
Oh, my brother, testify.
Is the shenanigery a total
Surprise, motherfucker.
Welcome to the fun. Now, back to the program. Yes, indeed, Ryan McCarthy, Sick Diggy says, as well as and arena football. You do have the leg up on me on arena football, sir, just because my time is very limited. Don't have time to check out arena football, but I have watched it live on several occasions, and I'm a fan of it as far as that goes. And as always, whether you're watching on Team MBS Media, A7BN Sports, or Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome, if you're new to the channels, please subscribe now and never miss out on new motherfathering content. Now, let's take this into our next segment that we have, as we now go to the Showstopper.
I off the way that this sound, they turn up as soon as they feed the ground. I am not playing around. I hit them, I bet that they feeling me now.
And for the Showstopper, the Commanders unveil the return of gold pants for the 2024 season. I'm a fan of this move right here. I like this uniform right here. Whenever I used to play Madden football and whatever console I was playing back in the day, when I was a big video gamer back in the day, I would always choose these uniforms right here just because I'm a fan of these uniforms right there. You got to like them. Even if you're not a fan of the name of the team, it does give you that retrospective feel when you see these uniforms on your TV, whether you're a fan of this team or not. Okay, you got to admit that belt is motherfather and cool. I miss the hair, yes, but the belt is still cool. Now, back to the uniforms right here. You got to admit, they look pretty good. What would look really good is if they could change the team to a name that we would all agree on. Okay, that would be nice. You don't necessarily have to go back to the REDSKINS. I've accepted that, but I don't think everybody's accepted the Commanders name. I've accepted it enough to give you a show, and if they change the name, I'll change the name of the show too. However, right here and now, they did make me happy with these uniforms right there because the Commanders themselves are still trying to establish their own identity. But if you can keep relics of the past alive within that, then you're doing your job and honoring the legacy of this team. And with these uniforms right here, you got to look at the players. You got to look at Scary Terry. You got to look at Nick Algoretti right there. And you got Jaden Daniels all up in this picture right there. All these moves, even Bobby Wagner, are all in this graphic right there. I was able to get these pictures from the announcement that they made last week. And, of course, you know, I've got a little bit of experience with making graphics by this point. So I think I did okay. What do you guys think? Let me know here in the comments if I did an okay job with making this graphic right here for the Showstopper when it comes to discussing the new uniforms that they are unveiling to reveal and honor the past. They're not new. They're just a reminder of the past. Taking you back to the glory days. The days of the Hogs. Yes, right here, right now. Sick Diggy says, will they have alternative shorts, pants as well? As far as for this color scheme, no, this is pretty much it when it comes to this scheme for this year. So it's pretty much going to look like this. As you can see, they pretty much do have the short part there where you got the pants pulled up and you got the high socks taking you back to the old school look. But yes, they can definitely rock it in that form. But as far as a different colors, as far as an alternative look with those colors particularly, no, there was nothing announced on that there, sir. But when it comes to this move right here, I got to say, I like it. I'm a fan of it. I'm not mad at it. I don't get mad too often. I wouldn't get mad at this. What I have to say is right here and now, when you're looking at the gold pants for the 2024 season, whether you're a fan or not of this team, tell me here in the comments if you like this move, especially if you like this move for the Showstopper pick for this week's episode of the Commanders Gridiron Report, brought to you by
Showstopper Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
They tell me I'm talented. I'm being modest, yes, I know. But back here to the comments. Six says it's a great graphic. Each player gets to express themselves. So I appreciate that. That was actually the mindset that I had in that moment when I put that unit together. So the fact that my vision came across, that somebody else was able to say it and define it really well, I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. That means that my work did not go unnoticed. And that's definitely always a good thing out here in these streets. And we have one more topic to get to. Before we get to that topic, we do have to go through one more commercial break. Sorry, got some plugs as well as it gives me a little bit of a break. I've done 3 shows now in less than 19 hours. It's insane. But you want to keep the dream alive when you're working 50 to 60-hour weeks? You got to do what you got to do and make some sacrifices. And that's why this is the 3rd show in 19 hours. With that being said, we'll get to the comments and all of you guys after this next commercial break. Thank you, as always, for tuning into this show. I'll see you here in about 2.5 to 3 minutes.
Commanders, where my soldiers, right side. Commanders, where my soldiers, left side.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. New Kids on the Block, New Edition.
Dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason.
In a world where chronicles of the past are brought to the streams, whether the content is relatable,
or completely beyond your realm of life, there is no shadow of a doubt that this show is absolutely full of shenanigans. Get ready for
D. Willie in the evening,
this Sunday at 10:05 p.m. Eastern.
exclusively on Surtoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome. Whether it's news, the largest egg producer finds bird flu in chickens at a Texas plant, weather, devastating tornadoes rip through the heart of the United States, inspiration, a breast cancer survivor completed the journey of chemotherapy, and now begins a future one of matrimony, or sports. Michael Jordan is shown on a photo with Diddy. LeBron James has a video extolling the virtues of a Diddy party. This has been yet another beating a dead horse presentation. We got you covered. BS3 Network proudly presents The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson, live every weekday morning beginning April 29th at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central. Oh, yes. The tradition, the pageantry, the spectacle, the history, the slut. Wait. I gotta rep my brother's stuff right. All my DMV soldiers, stand up! And welcome to the Commanders Gridiron Report. You want your Commanders to be repped right? Well, D. Willie is your man. Commanders Gridiron Report. Every Tuesday at 11:05 a.m. Eastern, 10:05 a.m. Central on the Surtoba Media YouTube channel. Music by J.KUL.
Where my soldiers, right side, Commanders. Where my soldiers, left side, Commanders. Where my soldiers, right side, Commanders. Where my soldiers, left side.
Welcome back to the Commanders Gridiron Report, episode 22. We are back from our last commercial break as we got to wrap things up, put a bow on it, make things nice and shiny, and give you some breaking news for when this show is going to come back to weekly episodes. You know I can click the button. You got to.
Acknowledge me.
Facts, bruh. Let's take this into the last segment, and that is the final drive.
We bet on ourselves, so what you expect? A diehard fan never live with regret. Yes, sir.
And here with the final drive on the Commanders Gridiron Report, we got to talk about my closing thoughts on the Commanders ahead of training camp and the announcement of when this show will return to weekly mother-fathering episodes. As this show has been on hiatus due to, of course, we can't talk about so much weekly when there's nothing going on. But I do have an announcement as far as when this show is coming back before I give my closing thoughts. We've got training camp and preseason right around the bend. The first preseason game for the Commanders is going to be on August 10th, which, if memory serves me correct, it's a Saturday. So August 10th is on a Saturday. That's game one for preseason. The following Tuesday, on August 13th, will be when this show returns to not only the next episode, but weekly episodes from that point out to the season ends, just like last year. This is very similar to how I did it last year. After the first preseason game, from that point forward, every Tuesday, we recapped the show and we previewed, recapped the game, but we also previewed the upcoming game and so on and so forth, even through the bye week and all. So, yes, it's a little less than a month away, but I didn't want to make you wait a little bit longer when there was slight news that we could talk about when it came to McManus's release, which we covered earlier, when it came to the unveiling of the gold pants they're going to have as uniform types this year. And just to catch up with you guys out there who are fans of this show and the content that I produce, because it's always a good time when I get to go live. Well, my bad for being a stuttering Stanley for a second, but it's always a great time when I get to go live have fun with you guys, and especially the participation in the chat from the regulars like Sick Diggy, Ryan McCarthy, Ike, and many more. So hopefully you guys can come back next month when we are here for episode 23 on August 13th to start our weekly episodes at that point, whether you're watching on Team MBS Media or if you're watching on Sartoba Media right now, where the struggle is real to be mother-fathering awesome, or on A7BN Sports, whether this is live or syndicated in the moment that you're watching this. Thank you for taking time out of your day to tune in to the latest in our Commanders Gridiron Report. Now that we've got that out the way when it comes to the announcement for the next episode, my closing thoughts on this team are they made a lot of moves this offseason. I'm not going to get too hype on the moves yet. I do like, I listed the 10 to 12 moves I like as far as earlier in the show. I gave you grades the last time we were here on episode 21 as far as the draft grades and what I thought in depth of each and every, free agent move. Now, when it comes to this team and success, last year I predicted them to either go 8-9 or 9-8. I was way off. Okay. I made a mistake. We all make mistakes out here in these streets. Don't try to say I was a homer and making that pick because I've been a fan of the team. I call it down the middle. When they suck, I tell you they suck, okay? There's many times that I came on this show last year and I was getting this amped up and I was telling you about how much that team sucked. Yes, I can turn a switch like that. That's called talent, motherfathers. When it comes to this team right here, they will not go 4-13 this year. Okay, they will not go 5-12. They're going to be a little bit better than that. Am I going to sit here and say they're going to go 6-11? No, I'm not going to be that bold and say that as far as sucking that bad. However, I could see this team go 7-11. Why? Because 7-11, that place, that store is legendary. Slurpees. No, I'm just kidding. 7-11, I feel like would be a respectable turnaround, considering the fact that, it would be 6-11 because there's 17 games they play. My apologies. But if they get to 18 game seasons, they can go 7-11. That's later on down the road. But right now, it would be interesting to see this team definitely go on a good run. But I think that 6-11 or 7-10 is realistic for this team this year. Because I don't want to give the expectation too high to where if they exceed it, I don't want to get this expectation too high to where if they don't exceed it, you're going to be really disappointed, and especially myself. But if we set it low enough to where they do get to 8-9 or they do get to 9-8 in a division that they are definitely not going to win this year because other teams like the Eagles are better than the Commanders right now. Even though the Commanders had a better offseason than the Eagles have a well-rounded team because they've been together for more than a few years. They've got a coaching staff that's been there more than just their first year with the team. They've got a quarterback in Jalen Hurts who's led a team that team to the Super Bowl. The Dallas Cowboys are trash. They still are trash, and they will still forever be trash as long as Jerry Jones is the owner in the moves that he's making from now into the future. You got to look at Dak Prescott, the drama there, the contract, Mike McCarthy, working in a barn for a year in between Green Bay and Dallas, and he was so great, but he absolutely sucks when it comes to when the pressure's on. Aaron Rodgers and others carried him in Green Bay, and it's definitely showing now. And the New York Giants are definitely better than the Dallas Cowboys right now, in my opinion. So you can say whatever you want as far as my opinion, and if you don't agree, you can agree to disagree, however you feel, but that's my opinion when it comes to the teams in NFC East. So could the Commanders get the wild card spot? I don't think this year. Next year, potentially, yes. After they've got a year together, they've built some chemistry. They add some more pieces during this upcoming offseason. I could see that potentially happening. I'm not going to go out and say it's going to happen this year. And I'm giving you this preview to the actual preview that I'll do the next episode when we're here to cover week 1 of the preseason, and I'll give you an actual in-depth, true analysis of what I feel like this team's going to do for a preview for the 2024 season at that point. Right now it's July. It's July 16th. It's really hard to sit here and give you an honest analysis when I haven't even seen the effects of training camp, who's still healthy, who got banged up, who didn't get banged up during training camp, as well as once we get to the first game of the preseason. Because we'll see a lot of the 3rd and 4th string players during that game because, of course, the 1st and 2nd string won't really be playing in that first matchup. But when you look at the 1st and 2nd preseason game and you see all the backups playing, you get an idea of how the depth is for this team going against the depth of another team, okay? And then as each game moves on as we get closer to the season, we start to see the real talent. I wouldn't say the real talent, but the ones who are going to be the first string and the backup second string. We start to see them playing more in the last couple of weeks of the preseason. Then I can really give you a true analysis for how I feel like this team is going to do this season. Right here and now, I'm going to say that 6-11 or 7-10 is a pretty respectable preview for what this team could look like this year. I hope I'm wrong and they do better. But at the same time, based on what I saw last year, it's kind of a bold statement to say that they can go from 4-13 to 7-10. When you think about how they were at 4-13. Now, the games that they lost, they were pretty close. There are several games that they could have gone the other way, and they could have ended the year at the record I'm predicting for the team to go now, to where they could exceed my expectations and do better than what I'm predicting to do this year in that moment. But we'll see as time goes on if that's meant to be. What I do know that's meant to be is that we weren't supposed to have that long of an episode today, and the fact that we're around 45 minutes with the news that I had, I'm proud of that. But a lot of that has to go with the fact that we used the wrong banner for this entirety of this episode, and that is awesome. But I'm not even mad at it because that was the last time we were here was on April 30th. People can't be perfect. And this is not a time where I'm usually even awake because I work very, very long hours, and I got to go to work this afternoon and work a 10-hour day. So why didn't you guys tell me earlier in the show that the date was wrong and the episode was wrong? It's okay, but it is what it is. Doesn't matter what it looks like. It matters what it sounds like and the quality behind it. And hopefully you guys who've been tuning in had a great time today, as I did, and look forward to coming back next time on August 13th to start the weekly episodes. And at that point, I promise I'll have my expletive together and have the background correct. And at that point, I will also...
You should know your role and shut your mouth!
When it comes to the shutting my mouth part, though...
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, no, to the no, no.
Somebody out there is probably saying this.
Stop it. Get some help.
Motherfather-and-Lutely, people.
What's that? What's that?
And Sick comments and says, I wasn't paying attention. Oops. Well, if you weren't paying attention, then many people who probably will watch this probably won't. But if I get some comments in the chat about it, it's all good. But just so you know, if you made it to this point in the show, it is definitely not April 30th. But at least the banners that were scrolling at the bottom were correct because the opening one did say the correct date. So it's all good. But right here and now, as we get to a close for this episode 22, I want to thank you all again, whether you're watching this live or syndicated, for taking the time today to spend with me, whether it is live or while it's syndicated, to watch this show. But those of you watching on Team MBS Media, A7BN Sports, and Sartoba Media, during this 45-minute span, you couldn't tell me that the banner was incorrect. Come on now. Yes, I made a mistake. It's all good. I'm just glad to be back here on this show, on these platforms, and to have fun today for this little bit of time that I get to have during each week because my schedule is absolutely nuts right now. My full-time career is rolling. I'm working 50 to 60 hours a week, and today I got to be back at work at 3 to work another 12-hour shift. So we'll see how that goes. We'll have some fun. Everybody, again, August 13th. Book the date. That's the day we're coming back, and we'll be back to weekly episodes at that point, as then and only then we'll have real news to tell you on a regular basis. For myself, Drew Willingham, on behalf of A7BN Sports, Team MBS Media, and Sartoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome. Again, thank you all for tuning in to episode 22 of the Commanders Gridiron Report. I've only got one more thing to tell you that we have to look at. One badass outro. And as always, stay safe out here in these streets.
Who do we rep? Commanders. Where my soldiers? Right side. Commanders. Where my soldiers? Left side. Commanders. Where my soldiers? Watch the middle. Commanders. Where my soldiers? Now we step. Where my soldiers? Right side. Who do we rep? Where my soldiers? Left side. Now we step. Where my soldiers? Watch the middle. Command we red, where my soldiers can't man, hit 'em.
Surtoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
You don't have to go home, but you got to get yourself on up out of here. As always, please stay safe out here in these streets.